Welcome to Commander's Comments. I'm your host for the evening, Harrison F. Dawes, and I'm joined by our Commander in Chief, Walter D. Donnie Kennedy,
Greetings.
our past Commander in Chief, Jason Boshears, our Chief of Heritage Operations, Paul C. Graham, Army of Tennessee Councilman Roy Hudson, and in lieu of Michael trying to hopefully not kick me out of the national reunion, I'm just going to call him Commander Michael of the Texas Division.
Thank you, Harrison. And let's be sure we understand who Harrison Forrest Dawes is. He is the Deputy Chief of Heritage Operation Promotion. And I believe you got another title now after the convention. Is that not correct, Mr. Harrison?
I have a lot of titles now, sadly. I don't know when that happened, but my father was just elected Mississippi Division Commander, and I am now 5th Brigade Commander, Camp Commander, Deputy Chief of Heritage Promotions. So many other things that I'm honestly forgetting.
Well, hey, we appreciate you. We appreciate everything you do, and I really appreciate your media outreach, and that is why we have the distinguished Roy Hudson on here. You and Roy are going to give us a little bit of an update, not much, but just tell us a little bit of what's going on there. But very first thing I want to do, and we had the tragic loss of one of our division commanders here recently from Alabama. And I'm going to ask Jason and Roy, if y'all would just give us a little bit of background on the individual. He was a strong Confederate, and we just need to let people know who he was and his tragic passing.
And thank you, Commander. And I want to thank you for taking a moment to remember Doug Barrett. Doug Barrett, when he left us very untimely and very suddenly on last Monday morning, I had seen him on Friday night, Saturday night in Foley, Alabama at the Military Order of the Stars and Bars National Convention. And he had gotten up to read a resolution. He had written a resolution. I mean, this was a very good, very dedicated man. I'll just step back. My first fondest remembrances of him was when I was running for the Army of Tennessee councilman position. And I came across Doug, and he asked me to come down and speak to the camp. And, he was very warm, very welcome, very receiving. He was actually born into a military family. He was born on Whiteman Military Base. He spent 38 years in the Army. He was a dedicated Christian. And this was a very welcome and very gracious man. And he stepped into the position of the Alabama Division, and he was very well needed, and he was very well wanted. He was the correct man at the correct time. And, there's all divisions go through some issues at some point, just like all camps do. And there's Doug right in the center of it, smiling. There was one thing that really stood out. I was at a division reunion one time, and things were not going well as far as they were having problems getting some equipment to work. Technology is wonderful until it stops working.
Right.
And they were having some issues with that. And then everybody was getting huffy. Not Doug. He just goes, we'll figure it out. We're fine. We can do without it. We'll figure it out. We'll have a good reunion. And that was what settled me about them. This was a good, kind, gracious man, and he will greatly be missed. Mm-hmm. So, and thank you for taking a moment to remember him. Roy, would you like to say something?
Well, you've stolen most of my thunder, but I will like to say this about Doug. I've met him several times, and in the Army of Tennessee, especially in the Alabama Division, you won't find anybody talked about any better than Doug was. He was a career military, like you said, a career military man, dedicated Christian, and a good all-around person. I've never heard him raise his voice over anything in the conversations I had. And he's just such a tragic loss, and to lose him so quickly and unexpectedly, I think that's thing that's got us all kind of looking back a little bit. It's just a very hard thing, and his family's been in my prayers. But Doug's going to be missed by everybody, especially in Alabama.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen. And I think it was very needful that we pass this information along to the Confederation. We need to recognize all these men who have gone before us now. Mm-hmm. And some of us, like myself, you can tell I'm long in the tooth, as they say. So, one of these days you're going to hopefully be saying a few nice things about it. Even the guys in Texas may find something nice to say about this old Louisiana boy. So we need to remember these people and especially remember their dedication to the cause. Yeah. He was, like you said, a good Christian gentleman. Absolutely. A patriotic American. Yes, he did his duty. And a strong Southern patriot. He defended the South. So we need more people like that, and that's why it's important to remember people to inspire others to follow in their footsteps. Now, with that said, we're going to move on. I want to ask the past commander of the Texas Division, Michael Hurley, to give us an update on, let's see, Michael, I talked to you, I said this would be your last time to bring an update, but actually in July, you'll get a chance to put the finishing touches on it because we'll have a commander's comment early in July before the reunion. So, but first, before you get into that, could you tell us a little bit about who is the commander of the Texas Division now? Just again, briefly, who he is and some of the highlights there, if you don't mind, sir. I know I didn't ask you when I got on the phone call, and I'm sorry I blindsided you. But anybody that's brave enough to wear a Taylor T-shirt around, you can handle anything.
Thank you, Commander. Again, I apologize. Every Thursday, reminder is my chorus practice with my barbershop chorus. I'm getting ready to compete to be the best in the world in about 3 weeks, and so I'm always dressed casually on Thursday. And before I comment on our new commander in Texas, I just want to remind you. I think that if there's anything Doug's life speaks to us about are a couple of quick verses. James 4 and verse 14 says, "What is our life but a vapor that appeareth for a little while and then vanisheth away?" We never know how long we're going to be here. Doug made a difference on those he touched. I spoke to him on Friday as well on the telephone about the reunion. He was excited about coming. We sat together at the reunion in Charleston and became friends there. And I think he just reminds us that we all need to be prepared because life is always brief. And then finally, Matthew 5:4, our Lord, precious Lord, said, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." I take comfort in that and knowing that there's comfort in one who understands. Anyway, having said all that.
Thank you.
I am very thankful to tell you that we have a tremendous new commander in Texas. He's a personal friend of mine. As a matter of fact, he and I rode all the way to Franklin, Tennessee, and back in the same car, and he's still my friend. Can you believe that? And if you haven't heard, Shelby Little from Georgetown, Texas, is our new commander in Texas. He was serving as our first lieutenant commander, responsible for heritage defense, and has done an outstanding job, truly outstanding. He has a military background, a retired colonel, graduate of the Army War College, and a deep, deep defender of the truth of Southern history. And I'm thankful to follow Shelby as a member of the Texas Division, and so grateful that the Lord blessed us with such a talented man to follow me after I finished my term. So very, very high on him. Shelby, we're truly blessed to have him in the role. Shelby Little.
Good.
All right. Now, let me talk about my passion. Now that my term as commander of the Texas Division is over, most of my focus from an SCV perspective is absolutely on the reunion. I was up till about 11 o'clock last night, sending emails out and rechecking everything and going through all the little details now as we get closer and closer. A couple of things I want to highlight. I want to remind you, if you haven't seen on the website already, the two major tours, both to Galveston, to tour the Battle of Galveston sites, as well as San Jacinto, have now completely sold out. We're kind of excited about that because we wanted people to go and have a good time. In addition, we have 20 spots left for our ladies tour, which will occur as well. So ladies, there's still a tour available for you if you would like to get involved. I also got a real good report about an hour ago on our rooms. We're already well over the allotment of rooms that we originally contracted for, and they've given us many, many rooms over that now. And so the good news is we're over our contractual obligation. So no matter what happens, we're not going to end up owing as a division. We're the host division. We're not going to end up owing for any rooms. And good news, we still have rooms available for each night of the reunion, including Thursday and Friday and Saturday. So there are only about 15 rooms left right now for each of those nights. Some are king-size beds and some are double beds, but there are rooms available for each night of the reunion. And there are several rooms available for Wednesday night and on the last night as well. So make sure to know that it's not too late to register, not too late to get a room at the host hotel, which I'm very thankful to say. Now, I wanted to mention to you guys that we're having 2 debutantes at the Grand Ball on Saturday night. Both of them just happen to be Texas girls, so we're pretty excited about that. And my wife is running the debutante program, and she wanted me to let any of you gentlemen know if you could maybe ask your wives if they would have an interest. We have 10 spots left for the debutante tee, and we would really like to sell that one out, if for no other reason, to encourage these young ladies as they make their debut in our society there at the reunion. So if you have an interest, or if your wife, more importantly, would have an interest in attending the tea on Friday, all you have to do is send me an email on our website, scv130.com. All of those emails where it says contact us or ask us a question, they come straight to my phone. So if you would like to participate, your wife would like to participate in the tea, we really would appreciate it, because we want to encourage these young ladies with a sellout crowd. And there are 10 spots left for the ladies' tea on Friday. Oh, and the cost is $20 for the tea.
Michael,
Any questions for me, sir?
Michael, what time is that tea?
Yes, sir. It is during one of the main tours. So if your wife's going on the tour, she couldn't make it. I think that's one of the struggles. But if I remember correctly, it's at 3:00 in the afternoon.
Okay.
And then following the tea, the debutantes have their rehearsal of their entry into the ballroom.
Right. Good. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So I'm really excited. Things are going well. Numbers are good. We're looking at about 450 total attendees, and I have right at 270 registrations of SCV members.
That's great. That is absolutely wonderful.
Well, I don't know whether that's great or not. We'll have to see. I'm glad you guys are happy. You know, it's all the way in Texas, and it's a non-voting year, but it's going to be a great reunion. I hope everybody that is maybe on the fence deciding whether they want to go will go ahead, bite the bullet, come down to Texas. Let us show you what Texas hospitality is all about. And entertain you and enjoy being with your brothers and compatriots from across the Confederation. I know you won't regret the time spent, the treasury that has to be spent in order to go, and the relationships that you make. You never know, could last the rest of your life. So
absolutely.
Come and see us in Texas in mid-July, 16th through 19th.
Thank you a lot, Michael. I appreciate it. Now, I'm going to say one thing. I appreciate what y'all are doing, and also everybody at headquarters that's working on these things. And I think Jason Brochure used to say so many times, I used to get sick of hearing it. Now I'm saying it. These things don't just happen. You got to have people putting them on and putting in the hard labor, and it's time consuming and it's hard work. And Michael, I appreciate all that you and your staff are doing for this. I appreciate everybody at headquarters that's doing it, and the membership on our SCV membership reunion committee that's doing all their job. Everybody, you know, it's all the back door stuff that nobody sees and nobody really appreciates until they have to do it. Then they appreciate it. So, Michael, we appreciate you. Now, are you going back to your rehearsal now?
Yes, sir. We'll practice tonight till 10:30. We started at 6.
Okay. Well,
I jumped off the ride.
I was going to say, all right, you're more than welcome to stay on, but I understand that, and I knew that y'all did your rehearsal this time. I remember that. But if you need to back out, just feel free to do so. Otherwise, we're going to just kind of move along here.
I sure will. And Commander, it's been a privilege serving on the national level in this capacity. I truly love not only my heritage, but the organization. And there are so many of you on the screen right now that have become friends, cherished friends, and thankful for the opportunity. Looking forward to be able to serve in the future as well.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate
All right,
you so
guys.
much.
Take care, Mike.
Okay. All right. Take care, man. All right. Harrison, do you happen to have that photo of the ICE raid that I sent you?
Yes, sir.
Can you throw that up? Because I want to make a comment here right quick. Then we're going to move on to Jason Brochures here today. Going to tell us about some exciting things. All right. I don't know if any of y'all saw this or not, but I am so sick and tired of hearing both idiots on the left and idiots on the right calling what's going on right now in this country just like if the Confederacy had won the war. Listen, folks, the David Hanson, what's his name? Victor David Hanson. He's probably the world's worst neoconservative. Every time he gets on there, any issue that comes up, he's always blasting the South and the Confederacy, Jefferson Davis, et cetera, as being the cause of all the problems. Democrat like Jefferson Davis and John C. Calhoun, they're the source of America's problem. And of course, the radical Republicans are the savior of the Union, and et cetera, et cetera. That's on the right from the conservative side. Then you have this crazy mayor of Chicago. He got on TV the other night. I heard him and I wanted to throw up, but I didn't want to have to clean up the floor. But he was talking about, so what's going on in America right now is if the Confederacy had won the war. Listen, this guy you can't even walk the streets of Chicago without being mugged. I mean, this is one of the most dangerous cities. You have shooting going on, and this guy has the audacity to compare what's going on in the Trump administration as if the Confederacy had won the war. The point I'm making here, and I'm making this not just to you gentlemen, but to our Confederation and our friends, is that we don't have any real friends on the left or the right. We are the ones who are going to have to do our job in getting our correct message about our history and our heritage in front of Americans, Southerners in particular, and Americans in general. We've shown our polls that the SCV has done shows that a majority of Americans agree with our view of Southern history. That if they don't agree, they don't think that it should be banned or torn down, monuments should not be removed, etc. A supermajority of Southerners agree that they have a right to be proud of their Southern heritage. Folks, that will disappear if you continue to have people, conservatives like Victor David Hanson, Sean Hannity, just as bad, Laura Ingraham, Jesse Waters. If you have conservatives saying the same thing that these crazy people like the mayor of Chicago and all those other people that are on the far left attacking the Confederacy, attacking Southern history, if we don't have a robust answer to these people, within a generation or two, there will be no need to even try to save Southern history. So I wanted to bring that up just to show y'all what's going on and to remind you we have problems, but we also have solutions. So with that, thank you, Harrison, for bringing that up. Now, the next thing, I'm going to ask our distinguished past Commander-in-Chief, Jason Brochures, if he would give us an update from the Forest Plaza. And I think, Harrison, you have some pictures I sent to you that we might be able to show as he's telling us what's going on.
First, I want to say thank you, Commander, for allowing me to come on and for allowing me to give an update. The one thing I'm not happy about with all of this is the amount of time that it's taken to get people there to be able to give our update, to get bids going and to get things going. Some of these, one of them, I started contacting him and it was nearly 3 months before we ever got a bid from him. One of them that we contacted about a month ago, he was going to come on Tuesday. He runs a foundry. He had an issue at the foundry. He couldn't come on Tuesday. He came today. So right now we're looking at this as two separate projects. Number one is the repair of the Forrest Equestrian statue. That is Forrest on top of King Philip, Forrest astride King Philip. We had some work that we have to do on the right rear hoof where it mounts to the base. We have to evaluate that. Now, Harrison, you brought that up. I'm going to talk about it. And this is one of the most exciting things that we had happen today. This gentleman came from the foundry and he needed to make sure what kind of bronze we had to make sure it would take up to the welding and the mending that we need to do. Because if it is an inferior bronze that has certain materials in it, it will flame up. It will burn out. It'll be like a sparkler from what he was describing. It was just a light blue light was all it was. He said, is it extremely high quality bronze? Right. He said to recreate that statue right now at the very minimum would be $300,000. He said it is that impressive. Now, what he is welding on, people going, he's welding on the statue. Well, if you've been there and you've heard us talk, you know that from where he is on that lower left portion of the tail, a piece of the tail had broken off. Now, at some point in time, they must have had it because they welded a square nut up in there and you had screwed it back on. Now, somewhere over the years, that has come off. He said, I can test on that spot right in there to see how it's going to fit. And he said it was absolutely perfect. So he did this on a spot that is inconspicuous. It's not going to show up anywhere in case things went bad. But things are very good, very high quality bronze. So we're having that piece and we're going to have that created. Somebody's going to have some artistic work about them. That's one skill I do not have. So somebody's going to have to do that. So we have the right rear hoof. We're going to have to do some repair on it. We've got the tail. We have a few spots that we're going to be looking at touching up. That's pitted. I'm going to call them weep holes or seep wounds, and that is where, because this was done in pieces and it was welded together and it has come apart in a few places, and those we're going to be sealing up. We took a very good look at the sword. Harrison, if you want to flip through some of those pictures. Maybe we can talk about them right there. I need to tell you who I was on the committee and who I was there today. Who was on the committee is myself, Lee Miller, and Lee Miller's Camp 215. That was so instrumental on getting them back. That is Lee holding the statue. Ed Phillips was there, and he's on the committee. He was the attorney that was worked so hard to bring them back. And then we have the two great-great-grandsons of Nathan Bedford Forrest on the committee. Now, this is him going over and the guy from the foundry going over and making sure that everything is correct. There's no other seams or cracks or anything like that. Harrison, because he evaluated the entire structure. Harrison, if you want to flip, that's him on the back. The gentleman that is on the left wearing the sunglasses and the dark shirt, that's Ed Phillips. That's me holding the ladder. And that is the gentleman up there at the foundry looking at the top of Nathan Bedford Forrest head and looking at the crack that was open between his neck and the collar. As you know, on the way here, he nicked a bridge and it tilted the head, scratched the top of the head, and it cracked the neck at the top of the collar for the jacket. And that's going to have to be repaired. It's been sealed. Ed Phillips and I sealed that up. Ed worked on the back. I was on the front. And we worked on the equestrian statue together to get that sealed up, make sure it didn't have any other leaks in it. But he's evaluating that. Now, if you'll look about where his left knee is, that's him just still doing an evaluation. If you'll go back to that, his sword come off. It was taken off. Actually, it was stolen a couple of times over the years. And they say that Forrest carried an 1840 cavalry saber. So we have an 1840 cavalry saber that we're going to make and put it back exactly like it was originally. Now the sword comes back around and he has a sword belt on, and the sword belt is about where they cut it off is about where his left knee is. So it's going to start there and go back around to the way it was. So all that's going to be put back like it was originally. Do you want to kind of skip to a little more? Thought y'all might want to see some up close pictures of what Forest Space looks like. And we'll just take a moment to admire that. When he was brought there and we needed to seal him up, that was my view. I was sitting there and I was sitting either hugged up on Forrest working on him, which was kind of humbling. It was very humbling in and of itself. Or I was sitting back on King Philip's mane looking at that. But I thought y'all might want to see some up close pictures. Okay. Now, does anybody have anything to say before I continue on?
There's another picture there with Jason on a ladder. Do you see that? Or I wanted to show that if you got it. Can you find it, Harrison?
Yes, sir. Let's see here.
I actually have a video from me and Ed Phillips back in the day when it came there on top of there, and the wind was blowing so bad and so hard that day you couldn't hear either one of us talking. It was something else, but that's all going to be part of the archive for this. So, but I'll go ahead while he's looking at that. Pop it up whenever you're ready.
Yeah,
there it is.
There and out. The reason I got that on there because I want everybody to realize that this is probably one of the few times in history that Jason is head and shoulders over everybody else. And that's why I wanted that picture on there.
I love it. I love it.
Look down on everybody.
Yeah, yes. Now I know what it was like to be the tallest man in the room.
All right.
Now I know what Forrest Dawes goes through.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's classic. Thank you, Commander. That's awesome. So right now, this gentleman, and I'll touch back on something. One of the things we're wanting to do is some 3D imaging of it. Now, the reason why that I want to cover that is I live in Mount Pleasant. I live 12 miles from Elm Springs. So far this year, I have had 4 tornadoes touch down within 5 miles of my house.
Lord.
So my fear is not vandalism. My fear is Mother Nature just coming in there and tearing up Jack. So what I would like to see done is to get the 3D imaging of it. That way, if something happens, we can put it back the way it was. Now, according to the gentleman that has looked at it, and one of the gentlemen that came the first time, short of it burning, we would be able to repair it. He said it is that high quality of bronze. He said, like if a tornado come through and just blew it off, he said it would be very capable of restoring it. But we need the imaging of it to be able to put it back the way that it was. So we have the repair work on the equestrian statue, and then we have the 3D imaging. So it's not just, okay, we have to repair the equestrian statue. I would love to see us get 3D imaging of it. My main purpose is in case something happens, we can recreate it. And while we were there on the site, we figured why not go ahead and get some 3D imaging of Jeff Davis done as well, because getting the people there is the main cost, not doing the 3D imaging. Getting people there is a huge cost. So what we want to do is, get some 3D imaging of that. And then what we can do is we can make miniatures and be able to sell them and treat them and use it as a fundraiser. So that's all of this is in the process. So think of it as 2 big projects. One is the equestrian statue, and that equestrian statue, number 1 is repair, and number 2 is getting the 3D imaging. We're expecting the 3rd bid. He said that he will have us the 3rd bid within a week. So at some point in time, per the Commander-in-Chief's time frame, we'll be looking at, because that will be our 3rd bid. And we needed at least a minimum of 3 bids. And we'll be able to take a look at these 3 bids and decide what direction the GEC is going to go in. then right now we're still waiting on the plans. I was told about a week ago, we're about 2 weeks away. The architect that we are having work on this, that's doing these drawings, because we've been told there's drawings. There wasn't any. So we're having to get somebody completely do them, and he's working them with a structural engineer. We have an architect working with a structural engineer to put all of this back the way that it needs to be. And the architect, I had written up a scope of work, number one, for the equestrian statue, and the scope of work with us putting the plaza back together. Well, he must be getting close, because he sent us his scope of work, and I've already forwarded that on to the commander, and his scope of work is a lot more in depth. It's a few more steps, and it's more having to deal with how the whole thing is going to be put together. And because him being an architect and working with the structural engineer, and we've got a statement of work, everything coming through this is going to be something else. This is going to be, so when the plans do come, and according to today, when we were talking, we could be expecting them at any time. So it's, don't ask me in a week, because I was just told anytime. So now this guy is doing them. The man that is doing them, he has his own business. He does this for a living. So this is something that we're not paying him to do. He's doing. So he said, I want to do this. This is my contribution. So I'm going, okay. And he goes, well, I'll get them to you. But I know he's, and I can imagine working with a structural engineer, putting together a plaza that's 50 feet deep, 75 feet wide. And by the time we put Forrest back up where he is, Forrest Head's going to be 21 feet in the air.
Yeah.
So you're looking at a monster structure that we're going to be putting back. Now, once we get the plans, we'll be putting those out and trying to get bids to decide how to put the plaza back together. Just getting somebody there to give us bids on the equestrian statue has taken a 3-month process. Okay. Now, once we get the bids for putting, once we get the plaza back together, we get the drawings, we get bids, I'm still going to stick with the same time frame. It's going to be 2 or 3 months before we secure enough bids, because everybody's busy. One of the gentlemen that submitted one of the bids on the equestrian statue, he said, I can't even start on it right now. It would be the middle of September before I can start. I've got that much work. There was a contractor that we were introduced to that was recommended to us, and we talked to him, and he goes, it'll be a few months before I could even give you a good, honest estimate, because he's building houses. So he's got a lot of work here in Middle Tennessee, because everybody's moved here. So we've got all of this that we're doing. Remember, we're dealing with somebody else's time frame. If it was left up to us, I could have contacted people on the Monday after the GEC meeting, seen people that week, and already have bids. And I did my part, but it's taken now 3 months to get bids. So once we get this, we're still going to have to get the bids, and then we got to get on somebody's schedule. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know what kind of time frame you're looking at. I want you to know that I have started a Facebook page for this. I haven't done much posting on it yet because it's one of those that I'm going to have to invite people to come on. So I haven't got it fully cranked up, but this is going to be where I'm going to be doing the updates on there when we start to do the work.
Good.
That way people are going to see day-to-day progress. As we're doing things, I want people to be aware that this project is moving along.
Good. Okay.
Is there any questions, Commander?
No, sir. Right now we're running a little bit, almost 34 or 5 minutes. So I want to go ahead and move on. But before we move on, I do want to make I see over here in the comment section, Charles LeRae down in South Louisiana, he made a very good comment when I was talking about, both the liberals and the conservatives are not our friends. And he talks about a gentleman, Chris, I think that's Planet, Plante, There you go. It said that he's even worse than Hampton, and he's on Newsmax. And Newsmax is really more conservative than Fox News. And yet Charles picked up on the fact that this guy is also, he's a conservative, but what's he doing? He's blasting our heritage. So we've got to put something together and to get things moving. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I would like to tell you what happens at General Headquarters. We have events there. We showed up on Monday, and we had an event there over the weekend. We were hosting a wedding shower there, and at the Forest Equestrian statue, we got the post coming up to keep it blocked off to keep people from doing it. They had gone out there and they tied bows to that. People come to our property and they do fantastic things there. Nobody is ashamed to come on our property. The news media can be all the bobbling, talking head stuff that they want to be. The bottom line is the American people that are coming there, there's true Southerners, they're true Christians. They're coming there. They remember, they honor. Nobody has said anything bad the entire time that they've come on that property. They will come on. I had the guy from Utah that was defending Forest to me. Mm-hmm. And he was from Utah. And he's defending Forest to me. And I had to smile. I had to laugh at that. So the talking heads can say what they want. The bottom line is the American people, the people that are out there, the people that are Southern and conservative minded, they're coming on our property. They're visiting us. We have had proms out there, prom pictures being made. People come out there and enjoy themselves. I'm just simply saying the babbling heads, the talking heads, when they start to lose their impact and they think they're losing their influence, they ramp their game up and they keep getting farther and farther from the truth. So there you go. Well, I'm just going to say when people come see it, they're fine with us.
That's why we have to push our narrative so that John Q. Public, or what Ron and I used to say, Billy Bob and Joe Sixpack, they'll know the truth and they'll know to come to our museum. So it's right quick. We need to take a Pop-Tart break. Harrison, can we do that? And we come back, well, start with Harrison and you and Harrison and Roy talking a little bit about media and what we need to do in the future to lay out some plans for the future. Can we do that, sir?
Yes, sir. Just reminded everybody that tonight's Pop-Tart break is sponsored by the SCV Chat Patreon. For $10 a month, you can support us directly, keep us on the air, and help us make some interesting new projects as we are slowly unveiling some of our new work because of the Patreon. And also wanted to remind everybody that at National Reunion this year, SCV Chat will be celebrating our 5-year anniversary and 200th episode. We will be celebrating Thursday night at 7 p.m. in whatever room the Texas division will allow us in. You can check the SCV website for updates on that. Just hit episodes. You'll see episode 200. Go check us out there.
There is a place nestled in the rolling farmland of southern Middle Tennessee. A home constructed in 1837, nearly lost to the ravages of war. Saved by a servant and a Confederate general. A place where families loved and lost. If walls could talk, what stories could be told? If a place, a home, can feel love, loss, pain, surely this is one of those places. Nearby is a more recent structure, and inside are the stories of heroes and heroines, stories of battles won and lost, stories of sacrifices made by the people of its native soil. A place that will tell the true and complete story of the Southland and the war fought for its freedom. From the causes that led to the conflict to the modern-day struggles to protect Southern history. Historic Elm Springs and the Confederate Museum at Elm Springs are the general headquarters for the Sons of Confederate Veterans. A place where the story of the Southland and its historic struggle is preserved and told. Come and discover your history.
Again, that Pop-Tart
Thank you,
break.
Rod.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
That Pop-Tart break is sponsored by the SCV Chat Patreon and the SCV Chat 200th episode, Thursday at National Reunion. Make sure to come out for the first ever live crowd and live show celebrating the millions we've touched and the 200th episode.
And that segues nicely into what I want you and Roy to kind of discuss a little bit, just hit the high points. We have a media type of committee that's looking into various means of getting our message into social media, and whether it's videos or new different forms of social media. And if the two of y'all would just give us a little bit, and we're running low on time, so I hate to cut you shy, but just give us a little bit of an update on some of the things that y'all are doing. And forgive me, I forget who else is on y'all's committee, but if you want to mention them, please feel free to do so. So Roy, Harrison, y'all take it over, whichever one wants to go first.
Moose, you wanted to go first? Okay. Thank you, Commander. We're grateful that you asked us to be on the show tonight to bring an update on this. When I ran for councilman, one of the main things that I ran on was the fact that we need to improve communications. We can't keep doing the same old stuff and expecting new results. We've got to move forward, attract a younger audience, and hit different platforms. So you gave us a committee that we're able to put together. And basically, Jamie Graham and Eric Pravetti and Frank Powell took one half of the problem, and Harrison and myself and Tony Griffin took the other half of the problem. The first group is working on a functional interactive website for the SCV, for headquarters, something that in the short term will give emails to all members of the general staff and eventually give emails to even camp commanders and camp officers, and have a quicker line of communication, something that's more user-friendly. And so half the committee is working on that. The other half of the committee is working on these new and different platforms that are out there, looking at what's going to work best to attract people. Where should we spend our money? Where should we take the time to use these platforms? And I'll compliment Harrison right now, because Harrison had already done some work on this, probably for his division. But he sent me some paperwork. It looks really good on the different platforms that he's looked at. I met with Tony Griffin last weekend at the Florida reunion, and Harrison called me later this week, and whenever you got time, and I'll bring up to speed on what we said. But basically, I think we've got the good basis to start getting this done, and we're hoping that at least by the October GEC, we can present a white paper to the GEC with recommendations and our findings.
Great. Great. Thank you, Roy. I appreciate your work. Harrison?
I don't have much to say at this time. This was more of discovering what would fit us best as an organization, studying our enemy's tactics on how they have used social media to discredit us, to hurt us, to attack us, to raise money, so forth and so forth. So the first bit of the report that I focused on was on those things, what would best fit us. And then me and Councilman Hudson more talked on what would be a good starting point for the SCV. I'm sure before the October GEC meeting, we'll talk about a bit more on how we're going to use this, the attacks, what I need from camps, brigades, divisions, stuff like that to make our social medias work. But as of right now, we figured out, I think, what would be the best platforms of us. The next step would be a plan of attack and telling the GEC at the October meeting what the committee has discussed. Well,
good. I look forward to hearing that, and we'll stay in touch. And I appreciate you and Roy and the other members, everything y'all doing. We've got to step into the future. We can't be riding around in an A model or even a T model, even worse, while everybody else is in Porsche. So we've got to change things around. And I think that one of the reasons why I wanted Roy on here, because Roy he and I have been talking about this issue for even, I think, before you were elected,
Yes, sir.
if I remember correctly, the need of it and what we can do to streamline our organization, get information out, and be able to respond quickly to assaults. Give you an example, just like when this crazy Democratic mayor in Chicago made that ridiculous remark, we should have been able to flood social media with our response. Yeah, I've got something on my Facebook. I think I've got about maybe 2,000 or 3,000 followers on Facebook, and a few of those saw that, but that's about it. The SCV, I understand. I talked to Adam Southern, our executive director, and we have an X account, a former what. So now, does anybody here? Are y'all familiar with the X account? Do you have one? Do you use it? I see Paul Graham and I see yes. Commander Roy. Do you have one?
I do not have one, sir. No, sir.
Harrison, do you have one? Okay, I have one. I have one, but I'll be honest with you. I might as well not have it because I am confused as a dickens. I'm so familiar with Facebook and, my generation, that was, we took over Facebook. We chased all you millennials and younger people off of there. That's what I'm familiar with. But I am told by many people that if the SCV and we as individuals have a stronger presence on the X channel, we can get a lot more foot. And I see Jason bobbing his head like one of those bobbing dolls on the dashboard of a car. So I'm glad the past commander agrees with me. Paul, what's your what's your?
I've been we start. I got a Shotwell account there, and we use that for promotional purposes.
Right.
We at one time before it was rebranded and bought, we had 13,000 followers, but then they started kicking people off. We never got kicked off, but once you get something out there that people connect with, it starts moving around, and people share it, and then other people share it. Kind of like at the Confederate Legion meeting, I talked about Elon Musk sharing that one picture about don't listen to people who don't care about your heritage or whatever. Yeah. I don't remember what it was, but it was clearly a Confederate picture, which with millions of views, and I don't think that's outside the question if the strategy is done correctly. But it's a very popular outlet. I don't use it as much as Facebook either, but I try to replicate what I do on Facebook as far as possible on X, and it gets some traction, get some comments, and so we certainly want to be on those, and I wouldn't be opposed to be on even some of the more obscure ones if we can get them all, get them on there and get the same message out everywhere at the same time. Yeah, that would be very helpful.
All right. Well, that's great. Well, I appreciate that input because I'm definitely going to start. My son, who is 50, what is he now? 56 this year. He does X quite a bit, and he got me on there. Unfortunately, he lives in Georgia, and he showed me several times, but old dogs are hard to train. So I've got to talk when I get back with him, he's going to help me. But what I want to do is to get maybe for the X account, have something in the Confederate Veteran asking our members to, to start signing up or I don't know how you do, follow or whatever, the SCV channel and try to build the numbers up on that. I have been told by several people that if we have a large enough following on the SCV X account, that we will get picked up by some national media that we're not being picked up by now. So that is something that we've got to look into. And that's why Roy and Harrison and your other committee members, why y'all are so important and why you're doing such an important job. Or else we'll end up like Charles LeRae pointed out, you know, we'll just have people that are supposed to be our friends who are saying nothing but bad things about us. So fellas, we've got to do that. We're running close on time here, so I want to right quick go over the 21st century effort. Just remind folks, we're still pushing that project. Just because we paid off the bank note, there you go, beautiful. Just because we paid off the bank note, that does not mean this project is over. We still want camps and individuals. And I think somewhere in your menagerie of photographs, you've got a picture, Harrison, of an individual. There, nope, not him. The next one over. He's got a gewgaw on. He's got the neck ribbon on.
All right, I see it. Just 1 second. It moved over to the video section.
Oh, really?
That's
I
interesting.
wanted to show that because, and we'll go back to that first picture. If you want, if you have to, just bring up that first picture. Okay. This gentleman, let me get his name correctly. Is Monty O'Shea. Monty is from Michigan. And this picture was taken at the Michigan Division reunion. Excuse me, it was at the reunion meeting of the Raphael Sims camp in the Dearborn, Michigan area. They and the Claiborne, Patrick Claiborne camp met together, and this individual showed up. He is a strong supporter of the 21st century effort. You see, he's got his neck ribbon. He's very proud of it. Now, if you would, Harrison, go back to that other picture of the gentleman and myself. There we go. All right. This is Jonathan McLeese. He is the commander of the Raphael Sims camp there in Dearborn, Michigan. You notice he's got a check in his hand. I'm not handing him a check. He's handing me a check. His camp in Dearborn, Michigan is joining the 21st Century Confederate Heroes effort. These guys, they have raised a lot of money and donated a lot of time and money up there. And they asked me when I went up there, it's a small camp, they say, why do you think it's so important for you to come way up here? We're glad you're here. And I told them very simple. I said, simply, you people outside of the Confederation are some of the most important Confederates we have. You're behind enemy lines. You're telling our side of the story to people who probably never have heard it. Plus, incident like this, you've got a small camp up here and you come up with not only this check for $1,000, he promised me that when our lieutenant commander in chief comes up there in August, they're going to have another $1,000 check waiting on him for the 21st Century Confederate Heroes. I said, you know, you people up here, you can embarrass the hell out of some of our people down south below the Mason-Dixon and say, well, we can't do this. We're just a little small camp. These people do it. They're dedicated. It was just like the folks out in California when we had our billboard campaign. California, of all the Confederate states, California was the first one to have a doggone billboard up, one of the first. So, you know, I am proud of these people. They're behind the enemy lines and they're working diligently for the cause. So now let me move right on. I want to, Paul, you may want to speak to this a little bit, but
all right.
We're planning a training session on November the 6th at headquarters for the Confederate Legion training session. We don't have a lot of time. Just briefly tell folks what we're going to be doing there, if you don't mind.
The Legion, Confederate Legion training session goes over the sort of things that we've been talking about this evening. Social, getting the word out, building public relations, echoing projects through the sharing of through social media and also letters and other things. It's very comprehensive, and I want to remind whoever's out there or whoever's listening or whatever, you do not have to be a member, as I understand it,
Correct.
of the SCV to be a member of the Confederate Legion.
Correct.
Now, I have a lot of friends down here because everybody's moving here now, who are strong Confederate supporters from Ohio and other places. These are people who may not have, that might take a while to get the genealogy done to find somebody. And in the meantime, they could be a part of the action arm of the SCV. Not only do we need people to sign up for social media because we're going to need them, but we also need people to join the Confederate Legion, primarily because all but 10% goes towards funding these projects. And with the 4th of July 250th anniversary, we're going to need to do some upscale stuff. We can't come off looking amateurish on this occasion.
Let me interrupt you right quick because I want Harrison. Do you have that ad, the 4th of July ad? As soon as Paul gets through, play that ad because you're also putting together eventually a video that will parallel that ad. But as soon as Paul gets through, I want you to run that ad. We're running late on time, so we need to get that.
All I want to do is encourage, because you don't have to be a Sons of Confederate member, and because these are foot soldiers, and we'd love to have them involved in our cause. Yes. Whether they're friends, whether they're members, whether they're in the Confederate Legion. At the last Confederate Legion meeting I went to, there was a member of the Military Order of Stars and Bars, and he wasn't a member of the SCV, but he was part of the Confederate Legion. So they're helping us. Yes. And so if we can get people to, sign up on their social media, because that's going to be, and other places, that's going to be where we spread information, and the more people that we have, the farther it can go, which I've been talking on and off about for a while. I've got some other ideas I'm going to talk to the commander about, but that I'm not going to speak about this evening. But you can run that ad. I mean, we need people. Yeah. We need foot soldiers. So if you know somebody who is pro-Southern, and there are a lot of them, and say, look, maybe you don't want to join the SCV or whatever, but you can join the Confederate Legion. And 90% of your money is going to fund our campaigns. And we have a beautiful lapel pin, and you get your certificate and everything else, and and help us fight them, whoever they are. Help us fight them, because we have a right to exist, gentlemen, and we know we have a right to exist, and we have a right to our own story, and we ought to be able to tell it. And we're going to, and there's not a better time to talk about the cause of the South when you talk about the cause of American independence.
There you go. Harrison, can you run that? This is a 1-minute ad that the Confederate Legion will be pushing in the next few weeks through July, and certainly all next year. It's the 250th anniversary of signing the Declaration of Independence. We're going to be putting ads like this, and also we'll have some videos. But if you could run that ad, Harrison, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
The Sons of Confederate Veterans encourages all Americans to celebrate the 4th of July. We are thankful for our ancestors who fought for liberty in 1776. Most Americans celebrate the 4th without realizing they're celebrating the most successful secession movement in history. Yes, that's right, secession. The Declaration of Independence is a secession document. Each American colony seceded from Great Britain by declaring that we the people have a God-given right to alter or abolish an oppressive government and establish a new one in its place. The right to secede is a God-given, unalienable right. Yes, secession is an American principle. The Sons of Confederate Veterans invite you to learn about America's secession holiday. Visit us at scv.org. That's scv.org.
All right. Thank you, sir. I can't wait to get we've got, excuse me, we've got, I think, 2 ads like that and a couple more, one about Patrick Henry and then one about the Constitution that the next year we're going to really be pushing. And I'm kind of bending Harrison's arm a little bit to get us some more videos on that so we can put videos on your social media. Folks, we've got to utilize this social media. If all our members would just take these videos and stick them on their social media, we can reach millions of people at no cost to ourselves. So that's just, again, this is Harrison and Roy. This is where y'all come in. This is your forte, and this is what we've got to do to get our message out. And I'm looking forward to being able to do that. So is there any other comment? I noticed we lost Jason and Ron during this whole process. I think we better hurry up.
Lights going out are everywhere. Lights are going out everywhere.
from South Carolina to South Louisiana. And I still see Charles LeRay's on there. So I reckon it's not all gone in South Louisiana. So we still good there. But anyway, anybody got any other comments to make? If not, gentlemen, if not, I want to thank each of you for being on here. I certainly want to thank Harrison Forrest Dawes for his tremendous effort. The new brigade commander. Which brigade is that in Mississippi?
The 5th.
5th Brigade Commander. Really want to appreciate y'all so much. Mississippi, of course, is where the Kennedy twins came from. And that's where all our Confederate ancestors were from. But, you know, as young adults, we left and went to a better place, Louisiana. Hey, somebody once said when the Kennedy twins left Louisiana, they improved the IQ of 2 places, Mississippi and Louisiana. By leaving Mississippi, their IQ went up. By going to Louisiana, theirs came up, but still wasn't as high as Mississippi. So I don't know if that was a compliment or not. So anyway, I just want to thank y'all for all you're doing. I want to ask all our friends who are listening to this, post this on your social media, share it, let people know who we are, what we're about. And there is great things coming, as Commander Brochures was explaining. Folks, when we do this Forest Monument Plaza, when we rededicate that, we are not concentrating on Columbia, Tennessee. Yes, that's where we'll be, but we want to talk about all the beautiful flag park from Jacksonville, Florida, up to Lexington, Virginia, all the way to the state of Washington. They've got one, and all in between, Kentucky, Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina. There are monuments going up, many more monuments going up than the enemy has taken down, and we've saved a tremendous lot. And if we keep building this organization and putting our name out in the general public, and especially to elected officials, we will have the wherewithal to prevent the enemy from destroying our heritage, and we can retake anything that has been lost in the past. So, gentlemen, I want to thank y'all. I want to encourage you and the members of the Sons of Confederate Veterans and our friends. Let's keep the work up. Let's keep going. Don't give up the fight. The enemy is beginning to turn, and as far as we say, put the scare in them and keep the scare in them. And with that, Harrison, I'm going to turn it back over to you so get us out of here.
Well, like the commander said, like, comment, share this out so everybody gets the information, and stay Southern, my friends.
Good night, sir.
Thank y'all.
Good night, all.